Alright, so here we are back for another match with quite a good opening, so we're going to keep. And we're going to see how this goes. Probably going to go turn 1, Finhorn Elves, depending on my opponent's playing. It's turn 2, Timberwatch Elf, a Forest. Oh god, is it the Mirror? No, it's Boggles. Boggles is, I think this is one of the only decks that really handles Boggles well. Alright, so... Yeah, I think the plan is to go Elvish Mystic. No, I'll go Finhorn Elves for nostalgic value. Uh, Boggles. I mean, Boggles sometimes just has matchups that you can't beat. I mean, draws that you can't beat. There's not really much you could do. But I think that you know, assuming that Boggles doesn't have one of those draws, which what are you gonna do? Uh, you definitely have a very very good shot with elves. So Boggles is that deck that you just throw your hands up and you're just like, well, what can you do? My opponent said go, which makes me happy, though. Alright. We're still going to play Timberwatch Elf, because I think getting that going, especially with a Kieran Ranger in the hand, is quite quite needed right now. Because we also have Essence Warden plus Lizalana Huntmaster, which is going to be quite good. We also have Lizalana Huntmaster to help out the Timberwatch Elf. My opponent seems to be on a slow draw. I have to assume that a Gnarlid is coming now on turn 3. But my hand can very easily race a Gnarlid, depending on what the enchantments are in my opponent's hand. So that's a good thing. But we'll see. Alright, so my opponent played a Gnarlid and another Utopia Sprawl. We drew another 1-mana elf. So here we're just going to play Kieran Ranger, just get that out there. And then we're going to play Essence Warden, just gain a little bits of life. Then we're going to untap. And just play out these 3 mana dorks. And then I can pump my creatures for, I don't know, some gross amount of value. I think I actually win next turn. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's plus 14. And it'll be plus 16 when I play this guy. Assuming I don't have another elf. I do actually win next turn, so that is something to consider. Depending on, of course, what my opponent does. So, if I draw another Kieran Ranger, I definitely have the win next turn. So that is something. This is one of the matchups where obviously Fog is a big factor. The reason I play Tangle, of course, over Moment's Peace is I think my opponent not untapping so they cannot block is a great thing. I think that's definitely something to consider in that regard. Ethereal Armor, okay. It's a big ore Gnarlid. It's a 10/10 now. Mother of God. Ooh, diggity damn. Oh, and there it is. There's the Armadillo Cloak. But, if my opponent does not have another 1-mana enchantment, my opponent actually cannot successfully attack. But they have the perfect one in Hyena Umbra. That's literally the perfect one, because now he doesn't even die. So, I'm going to take 17. And I'm not going to be happy about it. But I can definitely bring my opponent down from a very large life total to 0. So that's not really a big deal to me. Let's see what I draw. That is incredibly disappointing. That is incredibly disappointing. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, be plus 16. So, alright. Play this. And I suppose I could get in for a lot of damage right now. Since I could just play this and then untap a dude. I think I'll just do that. I don't know. Not really sure, to be honest, but I think we can attack with these 4. Actually, no. Yeah, because the only person I can block with is Lizalana Huntmaster, so Go ahead and attack. And we'll go ahead and just pump. My opponent will take a sizable amount of damage. And now we'll untap. And we'll say go. So right now I can make her a 19-19. So just gotta hope that I guess my opponent bricks. My opponent drew a creature, that'd be fine. My opponent drew, like, I guess a Utopia Sprawl, that also would be acceptable. A land, obviously, would be the absolute perfect. That is something to consider. Alright, well, my opponent said go, so that's good for me. We drew a Nettle Sentinel. So now things get interesting. So now we play the Sentinel. I'm going to always yield to this. Always yield yes, of course. We're going to gain a couple of life, not that it really matters. What really matters is that we're getting 2 creatures. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we can do plus 20. So now we can attack, and my opponent again has to block. One. We're not going to risk that. So my opponent has to block, and then lose the Hyena Umbra. So that's a good thing. My opponent does not block. If my opponent is playing main deck Fog, I'm going to be very, very upset. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm going to go for it nonetheless. So we're just going to pump here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plus another 10. Oh, nope. That would only bring my opponent to... Alright. It does not bring my opponent to death. I did miscount. That was my bad. So I could bring my opponent to 1, but there wouldn't really be much of a point in it. Well, I guess since I'm going to untap him anyway, I might as well. I might as well bring my opponent to 1 point of life. So we will do that. A Kieran Ranger would have been the perfect draw there, but... So my opponent's at 1. That was totally my bad. I just blanked on that. You are a stupid card. Stupid Totem Armor. If my opponent attacks, I have more than enough to... Oh, I screwed up. I forgot to untap my Timberwatch Elf. Oh, I would have lost anyway. I don't actually have enough to make my guy big enough, so that wouldn't have mattered. But I didn't notice. I don't think I had enough. Yeah, because this would have been 23, and that would have been it. Yeah, okay. Ethereal Armor got me. Alright, so we're going to bring in Gleeful Sabotage, we're going to bring in the Tangle, and we're going to bring in the Well-Wisher. So I made a mistake that game, but thankfully it did not matter, so I don't look that dumb. So Viridian Longbow is way too slow. That's not actually going to do anything. These two are your best cards. What to take out? See, this is a difficult matchup to sideboard, and I'll tell you why. Everything in your deck is good. I guess Essence Warden is not great. It certainly doesn't do all that much. Nettle Sentinel probably is not the greatest. I mean, you're not really trying to be aggressive so much as you're really just trying to be the control-ish type of deck. Elvish Vanguard is still okay. You'll probably just take out 2 Nettle Sentinel. The reason why is, like, Nettle Sentinel's good, but I don't think it's better than any of your other cards, is my point. Okay. This hand's not terrible. Can certainly get something going. So go ahead and play the Finhorn Elves first, and then we will pass the turn. Like I said, this is not a great matchup. It is not a bad matchup, but it with Elves, you really need to get the right draw. Meaning that for Boggles, it doesn't take much for them to win. For you, it takes a lot. For the Elf deck, it takes a lot. You have to draw the right cards. You have to draw them in the right order. That was not a very good draw. I'll be very honest with you. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we will play Kieran Ranger. And then I think I'm just going to attack for 1. Yes. And then pass, and then see what my opponent does. If my opponent trades, I'm fine with that. The reason why I'm just attacking and then I'm going to pass is because next turn I want to cast a Lizelon, a Huntmaster, and then cast these two to get 2 more tokens. So my opponent is blocking, so that definitely tells me that they have another... So we might as well do this then. That tells me my opponent has another creature in their hand. I don't know what it could be. It could be the Elf, could be the Boggle. I'm not really sure. We could definitely use a Gleeful Sabotage, or a Distant Melody would be great. Distant Melody would be the absolute best draw. Looks like my opponent did not have another creature. I guess they have another Aura Gnarlid. I guess that's what they probably have. Timberwatch Elf. Now that was the draw. That was one of the best draws we could have had. With 2 Kieran Rangers out, that was the best draw we could have had next to Distant Melody. Sometimes elves in a creature matchup also gets those draws that's just like, well, what can you do? You just throw your hands up in the air and you're just like, well, what can you do? Alright, so I was correct in the fact that my opponent had an Aura Gnarlid. We drew a land. That was... I hope we don't draw any more land, because that was the only turn where drawing a land there was actually good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attack with these 3. If my opponent doesn't block, I believe they're dead. No, they would go to 1. My opponent would go to 1 life. So now here's the question. Do I put my opponent to 1? Because then if they go Armadillo Cloak into another 1-mana enchantment, it's really bad for me. I think putting my opponent to 1 is the correct play here, though. I think getting my opponent to 1 while I can is the correct play. So that is 6. Oh, no, wait. Don't I just win now? What am I talking about? What the hell am I talking about? No, never mind. I'm dumb. Wait, am I dumb? Well, I mean, I know I'm dumb, but... No, I'm not dumb. Yeah, I am dumb. I do win. What's wrong with me? Why did I not think I win there? Why do I... Alright, whatever. So, clearly my opponent didn't block there because they were hoping that I didn't see it, and that the Aura Gnarlid would live and not have to block. That's really, I think, the only reason they did that, and I think that was the only shot that they could use, which was the absolute correct play on my opponent's part. I would have done the same thing if I were them. Probably not because I'm dumb, but... Alright, we're just going to submit, go right back into it. There really isn't much else to do, so see you when the match comes back. Alright, this hand is not the worst. It's actually quite good because we have Priest of Titania. So that is something. My opponent is on a mull to 6. Can they go to 5 one time? Nope. Alright. So turn 1 Elvish Mystic will hopefully be good. And we'll see what happens. Another Lizelon Huntmaster. That's really good with the hand that I happen to have right now. So next turn we're going to go Kieran Ranger into Priest of Titania, I believe. Let's see. Assuming I don't draw a land, we go Kieran Ranger... Oh no, we can go Kieran Ranger into Priest and Birchlaw Rangers. And then we just go ham. Is basically what's going to happen. So my opponent played a Colony Garden and a Slippery Boggle. They went Evolving Wilds on turn 1. Alright. So now we'll play Kieran Ranger. Do this, untap. Do we play the other Llanowar Elf is the question. I think we do, actually. I think it's more mana that way. Oh, no. We could play both of these. Yeah. Sorry. My bad. Play Birchlaw Ranger. And then go 1 and 2. Doesn't really make a difference, to be honest. And then pass the turn. And then next turn we have, so far, 10 mana. But we're going to have even more when we play both Lizelon Huntmasters. I believe. We'll see what happens. Yes. Okay. We're going to have a lot of mana. This is the fun part of Elves. This is the fun part of Elves. In a creature matchup, Elves is really good. But I think in like a removal heavy type of matchup, I think you're not doing too well. Well, my opponent seems to also be on the bad draw of They don't really have much enchantments. That can sometimes happen with Bogles. Oh, man. Oh, we're going to have some fun right now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, since this tap, you can tap any elf. We're just going to do this. We're going to play Lizalana Huntmaster. We're going to play the other one. Yes. Yes. Alright. Untap. Have all the mana in the world. 10. And then blue. Go ahead and play Distant Melody. I don't know what a Wrath of God in white or green, so hopefully that doesn't actually happen. I guess my opponent could also possibly concede to Distant Melody. They might just not have a hand that they think they can compete. But I don't know. I mean, I've seen Boggles pull stuff out of their pocket that I guess I'll say. All right. Well, I'm pretty sure at this point we have literally drawn everything, so we're just gonna unload. It's time for the machine gun effect. The only thing that could have made this draw any better was another Kieran Ranger. So go ahead and play this. I'm not going to play the Distant Melody. Yes and yes. I mostly did that. I should have played Abundant Growth first. I mostly did that so I can auto heal. That's the story I'm sticking to. Play Abundant Growth, draw a card. Elvish Vanguard. Okay, well we're definitely... Well, I think we definitely want to play that actually and just get that as big as possible. So do that, and then green, 2, play Finhorn Elves. Yep, now my Elvish Vanguard will become absolutely massive. I mean, if my opponent has fogs in their hand, like, we got a game. But with Distant Melody, I don't know. I like to think I'm pretty favored in this game, just so I can get my hopes up. Alright, I was wondering why everything was taking so long there, but my router seemed to reset itself from a firmware update, apparently. I would hope that it is. I would hope that nothing else malicious is going on. So we'll do 1 and 2. Play another one of these. You know, this is one of the reasons I always wanted to play like one Ranker in the sideboard, just for situations like this. But, I mean, I should just win next turn anyway. I don't really think it's going to matter. We'll just tap 1 and 2, play this, and then we're all done. We'll pass the turn. So we have a 12-12 so far. Gleeful Sabotage, another Force just in case, and a Distant Melody. Seems real good. Seems like we're doing really good. Alright, so my opponent tapped out, so I believe that should be the game. I don't know of any fog that cost 0 mana or has an alternate casting cost of whatever white or green could consist of. We drew another forest, so what we're going to do is I'm going to play Distant Melody, but I think I'm going to name Warrior so that I don't actually, like, deck myself. Because that seems like it'd be a bad thing. We're going to name Warrior. Draw a lot of cards. And yeah, that's the game. So if we attack there, my opponent blocks 4 creatures, so blocks like these 4 and then takes 18. Yeah. I was kind of just trying to secure myself, just in case, but yeah. So, game 1, Boggles beat me. Nothing you could do. Game 2, you saw how fast Elves can be, just as well as Boggles. And then game 3, my opponent did not have a good draw, and we had the absolute nuts. This is what the Elf deck can do. So, we'll see you back for match, well, another match, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching.